from Edge Specialist Advice Network. Hope you're all well. Hey, today we're bringing you another installment of What the Numbers Say, and as usual, we're using Visual Capitalist. Again, if you guys haven't actually gone and subscribed to these guys, you should. You go and subscribe, you get sent a report every couple of days, and some of them are very interesting. Others, okay, maybe not so much, but they always tell a pretty good story. A picture tells 1,000 words. And today we're looking at, all right, the 15 largest countries, so by landmass, in the world. Now, what does this even really matter? In a sense, it kind of does, in the sense that you would imagine that the largest or the larger landmass countries probably have a higher chance of having productive land, as in farmland, and therefore they could have economic activity. They could be very strong. The population, in theory, that live in those countries could eat well or eat at a reasonably a reasonable price point, and depending on, it could be both, they have access to a lot of natural resources. They could have, gas in some areas, oil, a lot of rare earths, precious metals, diamonds, anything that you need in the modern world to do high-end technology manufacturing, or even just base manufacturing like iron ore, copper, lithium, even energy. Energy is the lifeblood of everything. So you're looking for oil, gas, uranium, coal. Coal is still so important to the globe and the energy grid. So let's have a look. Let's have a look here. All right. Now, for those of us who come from Australia, I must say that when we look at the map of the world and we see Australia, it feels like Australia is nearly the largest country on the map. I'm not sure if that's the way the map's been drawn or it's just been written. It just always feels that way, but it's not the case. So let's check it out, right? Okay, Russia, by far the largest landmass. 50% of Russia is forest, which is amazing because a lot of the world's teak and timber get exported from Russia. So Russia as a country has such a big role to play on its exports for construction around the world. 13% cropland. Not to mention all of the natural resources that Russia has. So much oil and gas. It has everything, actually. It is the number one country that could be self-sufficient. Plus, they have no debt. It's pretty incredible. They're a standout, and they're an odd country in the modern system, which was the Bretton Woods system. So really interesting. And I guess probably the downside of being so large is it's a hard country to defend militarily. You can understand why that. Over the last 200, 300 years, there's been attempts to invade Russia consistently. French, German, everywhere else has tried to really invade Russia, through that Eastern European section. Russia being so large, maybe that's why they sold Alaska to the US. Maybe they just didn't need it anymore. It was too big. I bet you they rue the day they sold that piece of land to the US, but they did. So more for them. All right, number one, Russia. Let's have a look. Number two, China. This is really interesting. On the map, it doesn't look that way. Australia looks bigger than China on the map. Look, I don't get it how it's been drawn, but that's obviously not the case. Number three, the US. Again, Australia feels like it looks bigger on the map than the US, but the US, look, 45% cropland, so huge. So the US is actually, again, one of those countries that could be super sufficient for its own citizens in farming, in minerals, and especially in energy. 34% forestation. So the US has everything. It doesn't need really to export and import. It's just that they love cheap gadgets to make their life that little bit more interesting. They want those gadgets to come from China, Bangladesh, cheaper countries. All right, number four, Canada. Yep, okay, that's no surprise. Canada looks quite large on the map. Again, a lot of mining in Canada, a lot of energy resources in Canada, a lot of forest in Canada, a lot of forestation. Number five, Brazil. Okay, Brazil. Yep, a lot of energy coming out of Brazil. Number six, Australia. Here we are. Okay, a big chunk of Australia is desert, which is a bit sad, but it is what it is. Apparently we've got a 17% forestation, which is pretty good. 47% cropland. I don't think that's right. That doesn't sound right to me at all. I'm just wondering where that comes from. But Australia, number six. Let's have a look at some of the stragglers here. India, the next one. Okay, India is quite large. India, but will have the most amount of people soon. So the resource that India will have plenty of is human capital. So human capital matters, especially when you start spreading that out through the world. Okay, so guys, look, this was interesting to me, and you can understand why there's a lot of envious and jealous eyes that look at Russia. It's the largest country by landmass. They've got no debt. they've got everything to be self-sufficient. They really don't need to trade with anyone, but they do because that's what everyone does. And often trade is one of those methods to stop wars. So that's why Russia has probably more than likely traded throughout the last couple of hundred years to probably stop people trying to invade it, break it up in little chunks, steal all its wealth. So, look, guys, I just thought this was interesting. Look, for some reason, when I look at the maps, I don't see the land mass in that way. For some reason, I think Australia is huge as a country. But number 6, man, obviously, I thought it was up near number 3, and to see America up there as well, and remember how self-sufficient it is, but also Russia. You can see why the 3 top superpowers. Let's go back to this. The 3 top superpowers in the world: Russia, US, China. Now people may not call them in that order. People say the US is number 1 superpower, China number 2, Russia number 3, but they're the top 3 land masses. So maybe there is something to that. Could Australia be the 6th top superpower in the world? Not a chance in hell. We operate like a 3rd world country, and our politicians are probably 4th world rating as well. So unfortunate for us, but interesting to understand, because when you start to make investments, you've got to understand that where the countries are that are going to always economically be okay, no matter what happens in downturns globally. Other smaller countries will suffer, and that is smaller economically, but also smaller in just geographical land size. All right, guys, that's enough from me. Remember, life is a family sport. Give yours an edge. See ya.
Dave and Lucy have been in business for a long time. They have a great business and a great team. After years of hard work, they wanted to increase their property portfolio with their dream home. But being self-employed, they found their bank's lending criteria very restrictive. They sought Toowoomba's Edge Lending, the business lending experts. Edge Lending thinks outside the box and were able to secure a facility for Dave and Lucy to purchase the property. Edge Lending, making business lending easier.